When it comes to baking a cake, you want to make sure that it is fully baked before you take it out of the oven. It is important to not underbake it where it will be gooey or overbake it where it will be dry. Using a thermometer to check the doneness of food is common when cooking meats. It allows you to ensure that your food has been cooked to the proper temperature to avoid the risk of foodborne illness. What is the internal temp of cake? In general, a cake's internal temp will be around 200 to 210 degrees Fahrenheit. Most cakes such as butter cakes, pound cakes, chocolate cakes, and vanilla cakes will have an internal temperature of 210 degrees Fahrenheit. At this temperature, you don't have to worry about getting a foodborne illness. Raw flour and raw eggs can potentially carry salmonella or E. coli. If your cake reaches 212 degrees Fahrenheit or warmer, you risk it becoming overbaked and dry. At 212 degrees Fahrenheit is when water will begin to turn to steam. If your cake gets hotter than this, then it will lose moisture at a quick rate. How to check the temperature of the cake? Though it can be tempting to check the temperature of your cake periodically as it bakes to keep track of the temperature, you want to avoid this. Checking the temperature too soon on your cake can interfere with the leavening process. To take the temperature, place the thermometer in the middle of the cake. However, be sure to not touch the bottom of the pan. For the most accurate reading, it is best to use a digital thermometer. For denser cakes such as flourless chocolate cake, carrot cake, and red velvet cake, the internal temperature will be around 200 to 205 degrees Fahrenheit. Lighter cakes, such as a sponge, angel, and butter, will be around 205 to 210 degrees Fahrenheit. Are thermometers the most accurate way to test if a cake is done? Depending on who you ask, some people will say that thermometers are the most accurate way to test if a cake is done, whereas others will disagree. Some people that temperature is the best way to check if your cake is baked. For a cake's internal temp, under 200 degrees Fahrenheit, it is underbaked, over 212 degrees Fahrenheit, it is overbaked, and between 200 to 210 degrees Fahrenheit, it is just right. Other ways to check if a cake is done. Toothpick. If the toothpick comes out clean, or in some cases with a few baked crumbs on it, then your cake is done. If the toothpick comes out gummy or has wet crumbs on it, then it needs more time in the oven. Instead of using a toothpick, you can also use a paring knife instead. Springs back. Another method to check if it is fully baked is to check the consistency. If you press your finger into the cake and it springs back, then it is ready to come out of the oven. If you press your finger into it and it leaves indents, then you want to bake it for another 5 minutes at least. Color. If it is golden brown, then it is likely done. Though this test is good for white or yellow cakes, it doesn't work for chocolate or dark-colored cakes. For chocolate cakes, you should smell a fragrant chocolate smell when it is ready to come out of the oven. Edges pulling away. When you notice the edges pulling away from the cake, that can be a good indicator that is ready. The edges will pull away just slightly from the pan. If they pull away too much, then that can potentially be a sign that it has been overbaked. Tips and tricks. When baking, a cake temperature is done between 200 to 210 degrees Fahrenheit. For denser cakes, the temperature should be between 200 to 205 degrees Fahrenheit. For lighter cakes, the temperature will be between 205 to 210 degrees Fahrenheit. However, you do not want your cake to be over 212 degrees Fahrenheit. At this temperature, it will begin to lose moisture, which will cause it to dry out. Though checking the internal temperature can be an accurate way to check if a cake is ready to come out of the oven, there are also other ways. You can also use a toothpick to check the color and smell, check to see if it springs back, or check to see if the edges are slightly pulled away. If you liked this video, don't forget to like and subscribe.